Recording. There you go.
Thanks, Simon.
No worries at all. Okay, so before we begin, I'll start with an acknowledgement of country. If you can bring that up, Ash. Thanks, Ash. So Create New South Wales acknowledges the Aboriginal people across the state of New South Wales, their continued connections and practices to their lands, waters and cultures. And we pay respect to elders past, present and future, and the role Aboriginal artists play in keeping their cultures alive. So before we get into it, I'll just go through a little bit of housekeeping for those of you who haven't joined one of our webinars before. So with all of these webinars, we do record them and we upload them to our Create New South Wales YouTube channel following the session. So for anyone who couldn't make it today live, feel free to share the link and we'll share that on our socials following this. For anyone not presenting, obviously, if you can keep yourself on mute, that allows us to get through the information. For a better viewing experience, please click on the View Everyone tab at the top center of your screen and view active cameras. And then obviously with these webinar sessions, you'll hear from the experts who will run through the package in detail, but an important part of these is also the Q&A section. What we ask that you do throughout the webinar is to put any questions you may have in the chat function. And then towards the end, we have a dedicated period of time where I will go through those questions, ask my colleagues to answer them as best as possible. And anything that we can't answer in this session, we'll take away and we'll upload an FAQ to our website following the webinar so that all of your questions are answered. There's also a contact page that we'll share at the end. So if you have any follow-up questions following the webinar, we'll give you an email address that you can flick those through to. Thanks, Ash. So obviously today you'll hear from a little bit from myself. I'm largely just going to moderate the session. Predominantly you'll be hearing from Sue Proctor, who will run through the package itself and all of the details, and also Sam Adame from our investment team, who's going to share his screen and run you through the actual application process itself. For those of you who haven't used Smarty Grants through Create, that will be a handy 4 or 5 minutes to step you through that. Thanks, Ash. All right, so Sue, I might hand over to you right now and we can go through all of the details.
Thanks, Simon, and hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining this webinar. I just want to also acknowledge that I'm on beautiful Gadigal land this morning down by Elizabeth Bay, and wanted to pay my enormous respects to elders past, present and emerging, and to also acknowledge our any Aboriginal people on the webinar and watching today. Welcome to the Festival Relaunch Package webinar. What I'm going to step you through today is, first of all, I'm going to give you an overview of what we've been doing in support of COVID from when it first hit back in 2020 right up to where we are now. And hopefully just by doing this overarching illustration of what we've provided, it will help provide context of what this particular package is hoping to achieve. So then I'll go through the Festival Relaunch Package itself. I'll kind of step you through eligibility requirements, all of those kinds of things. I'll hand across to Samuel. I know that there's quite a few of you who are on the who'll be applying into this package who may not have applied for funding before. So we're just going to spend a little bit of time just familiarising yourself with the application process, and then that should probably all up take about 15-20 minutes. So we're leaving plenty of time to actually drill into the questions, because I think the questions are the part of the presentation where I think we really get under the hood about what this package is and how it works. So there'll be a fairly brief formal session, and then an open session to answer any questions. So kicking off, so this is a little bit of a timeline of what we've provided in our kind of major COVID support packages since COVID first hit last year. And during this time, by the time we implement your package, we will have delivered over $220 million. So it's been a very substantial injection of money that we've been putting into the sector at different times and in response to different needs as they emerge. The first package, so when we originally went into lockdown last year, kind of February, March, we worked on a $50 million package, rescue and restart package that was very much geared towards the not-for-profit sector. That's kind of creates New South Wales stomping ground. So we've normally been in the space of looking after not-for-profit, funded organisations in both the visual arts and the performing arts. So when it first hit, we pretty well quickly realised it was going to have a devastating impact on our sector. In fact, we are one of the three most impacted sectors from COVID, along with tourism and hospitality. So we were able to get a package up that focused very much in the first instance in stabilising financially vulnerable organisations, and then we were able to provide stimulatory support to our regular clients to help relaunch the sector once that first wave passed. Within that bandwidth, we spent about 18 million rescuing 28 companies, and then the balance of that money was most of it, the bulk of it, was just given as a single one-off injection to the sector to kind of turbocharge them and get them back onto the stage and into the galleries. During that phase, we became aware that the live music, particularly the venues, were very impacted by the lack of activity. And we worked closely with Destination New South Wales, who actually administered the program, but Destination New South Wales was the kind of badge of the live music support package. In that space, we had $24 million to support venues that demonstrated that they were critical to the live music scene in New South Wales. So we had a panel of experts that reviewed applications, and we had a set amount that we paid according to a little table that whether they were a tier 1 organisation existing purely to deliver live music, like the Enmore or the Lansdowne, those kinds of venues. Tier 2, which were organisations that had a very substantial focus on live music, and Tier 3 that also were important to the live music scene. And there was a sliding scale according to the size of the organisation and whether they were in one of those three categories. And we paid that directly to those venues in order to stabilise them having missed out on income stream for quite some time. Then, of course, we had the re-emergence of COVID with this second wave, and we were quickly able to get a performing arts package up. The contrast in being able to get this package approved and announced compared to the Rescue and Restart is quite stark. With the Rescue and Restart, we had the package formulated pretty well within a week or two of COVID developing, and it took 3 months to get it through and approved and announced and on its way. With the performing arts package, Treasury rang me on Saturday and the Premier announced it on the Monday. So one of the things that has become very clear over the course of the pandemic is the importance of culture and the importance of the arts to support and bring communities back together, bring them back into city centres in a COVID safe way, and help stimulate the economy. So we were able to get that performing arts package up and running very quickly. There were 3 main areas that we focused on in that package. Was the kind of our traditional area, again, the not-for-profit performing arts sector. We also brought the live music venues and promoters and producers in, and also expanded to the commercial theatre, the big end of towns, the Hamiltons and the Come From Away musical productions into that support package. That package was originally designed to deal with a short, sharp lockdown. We were only anticipating to be in lockdown for 1 or 2 weeks when we first designed it. Obviously, circumstances changed, and we were in lockdown for a considerable amount of time, and only just coming out of it now. Because of that extension of the lockdown, we were able to argue for this second part of the package, an additional 50 million. And I'll be delivering a webinar on that package at 12:30 and talking to the guys that are recipients under that package, which gets us to this package. So in a similar way to us realising that there were some of the sector was being left behind, it became very apparent, like the live music venues, that the festival organising companies are in need of financial assistance. So what we, I'll go into the more detail and into the package in a second, but essentially we're really focusing on the companies themselves, like we focused on the venues earlier this year. And what we're hoping to do is to provide a cash injection to the organising companies to stabilise you, to build your confidence so that you will plan festivals in, later in 2022 and into 2023. The final package that we're working on at the moment, which was announced a few weeks ago, and we're just finalising the guidelines of that, which will be important for this sector as well, is a package that we will share the risk of you organising a festival into the future. And at the moment, we're looking at having the package go to sometime into next year, and under that package we will be providing coverage that if your event is shut down because of a public health order, that we will make payments to compensate you for that. There is a very strong desire to transfer this major event event saver package into a more permanent insurance scheme. And again, that's something that we're working on internally to see, what mechanisms we can put in place to enable you guys to be properly covered and have the confidence that if something like this was to happen again, that you would have the financial support available to you. So that's in a nutshell where we've gone from. We went from a very, like everybody, we've been trying to learn what COVID means to for the economy and for the arts sector more specifically, and we've been trying to target the packages so that it has the maximum benefit for both the sector but also the New South Wales economy more broadly. So, getting to this package specifically, so really what we're trying to achieve here is to give those festival organisations that have experienced financial loss as a direct result of a public health order. So, really, I think there will be some of you, and particularly the for-profit organisations, that will have experienced significant deterioration in your working capital, or you may have been shedding staff because you've been trying to hold the company together, and you're now so depleted that you're nervous about whether you can actually properly plan for future festivals. The not-for-profit festivals are absolutely able to apply into this package, but one of the tests to receive funding is to be able to show that financial deterioration. So some festivals may find that they've received substantial funding through other packages, or they've been receiving government grants and donations. So this is something that's particular in the not-for-profit world, and those income streams have held. So you may not have suffered the degree of financial deterioration that some of the commercial festivals have happened. So really we're looking at stabilising those that have experienced significant financial loss. And just to be really clear, this is a package that we're focusing very much on the companies. We're not saying that this funding will go towards delivering a festival. We have an expectation that a festival will be delivered if you've been supported under this package, but the money won't need to be tied to that festival. It's very much trying to stabilise you as a company. So next page, Ash. Okay, so this is going to the heart of the financial loss. You'll need to demonstrate that to us. So we will be asking for quite a lot of hopefully not burdensome information. This is hopefully information that you have easily at hand. We will want to be looking at 3 years worth of your prior financial statements. So for not-for-profit companies, that's just your audited accounts or reviewed accounts. For the for-profit, we probably will, unless there's some official, like if you've actually tabled, had a full-blown financial statements prepared, that'll be fine. But if they're just your management accounts, we'll probably will require you to have it signed off by your accountant, just so that we know that these are your last 3 financial statements. And then we also want to see where you are right now. So what we'll be doing is looking at your previous 3 years, getting a sense of what your business looked like under normal operations. And so this will establish your base case, your base position. And then we'll look at where you are right now and be talking to you about, are you demonstrating what we consider the hallmarks of financial distress? And as I said, the main things that we'll be looking at are your working capital position, which is essentially how much money you've got sitting in the bank, less how much you owe to people that haven't yet been paid. And we'll also be looking at your staff headcount and getting a sense of, have you had to lay people off in order to keep your company operational or solvent, and those 2 things together. It can be one or the other or both, and there'll be other factors that we'll look at to try and get a good understanding of where you are. So some of the other things that you'll need to demonstrate is we're looking at the bigger end of town. This is because really the driving force of where we've been heading with all our COVID support packages are about the delivery to the economy. By having these festivals of scale, what you're drawing is large amounts of people into regional centres or city centres in a COVID-safe way, and stimulating that economy by having all the peripheral activity that happens when somebody attends a festival. So whether they're staying up, having a night over at the hotel, or whether they're going and having a meal somewhere, going to the shops and buying a coffee, those kinds of things. So there has to be a sufficient scale to be supported under this package. You have to be delivering music, screen, or arts activity. So what we're not looking at in this package is kind of the food and wine festivals that might happen in some regions, or if music or screen or arts are ancillary to what the festival's trying to do. So if it's a wedding expo or something like that, they're not considered under this package. It's very much targeted at the arts and music and screen. You'll need to be selling your tickets through a formal ticketing system. Number one, this will establish the size of how many people are coming, but also that this is there is a formal process in place that we can see how the income is being drawn in. There's definitions in the guidelines about what a recognised ticketing system is, and it includes, that you might have an online portal that accepts credit cards, debit cards, and third-party PayPal payments. and have the capacity to deliver reports that we can substantiate what's going on. So I think most of the festivals won't have any issue in delivering information around that. And the final one, and this will be a judgment call by the specialist panel that we're putting together, that you have the capacity to deliver another festival within the next kind of 12 to 15 months or so. We're looking at supporting established festivals, ones that have been, having a significant impact in the past, and the likelihood that you're going to put another festival on if we provide you this stabilisation package. So, okay, so the actual funding amount, we haven't been as specific in this package as we have in the past, primarily because I'm still familiarising myself with your sector. But what I want to reassure you is that this will be a significant support. If you're successful and eligible into the package, it will be significant, and it will be proportionate to the size of your operation. We will be publishing what percentages people are going to be getting, and at the moment we're thinking around a set percentage that will be based on total average expenditure over the last 3 years. But what that exact percentage is, I need to actually see the everyone's figures. The difference between the commercial sector compared to the not-for-profit sector is the not-for-profit organisations all have to lodge their audited statements with the ACNC, the Australian Charity and Not-for-Profit Commission. So we're able to go in and look at audited accounts of any of the not-for-profit organisations and be able to have a good understanding of exactly where they are at any given time. Obviously, with the commercial, the for-profit world, that we're not able to do that. So we have heard, we believe, and we understand the financial distress that you guys are in. We just actually need to quantify and bring it together. So that's why we haven't specified the percent, but we will be distributing the $25 million, and we will be distributing the $25 million fairly and transparently. And just the final note that we have the government has a policy that all funding that's made through us will be made public in our annual reporting process. So that will become a matter for public record, how much we've paid. So hopefully that gives you some reassurance. We would have loved to have given you a specific percentage, but I just feel that we need to have a little bit more information to finalise exactly how we're going to distribute it. So applications are now open. I know that a few of you have started to have a look at the application form. I think yesterday we had one who had lodged, so Golden Star for that organisation. Once we close it, we'll go through pre-assessment. Create New South Wales will be looking at all the information that you've provided. We will be taking your financial information and we'll be putting it into a summarised format, and it will be consistent from one company to the other, and we will be making a first assessment of the degree to which we believe that you've met the application criteria. We'll then be presenting that to the specialist assessment panel, and then we'll work out how the money's going to be distributed and then announce it. We're going to try and push this through very quickly. We've only got it open for 3 weeks in order to be able to turn it around as quickly as possible. We'd like to be able to give, we're aiming to give the announcement in mid-December. So we're trying to move it along as quickly as possible, because we know you guys need the cash as quickly as possible. So I'm now going to hand across to Samuel. He's going to run through the actual process itself. Samuel heads up the grants management team in Create New South Wales. So when you have any issues or any questions, it will be Samuel and his team that you'll be talking to. So over to you, Samuel.
Thank you so much, Sue, and thank you everyone for giving me the opportunity to present you the application form. I'm in Gadigal land, in what nowadays we call Sydney CBD, Martin Place, and I would like to pay my respect to elders, both past, present, and future. So with this application form, I'm not really going into details of the information itself that is described in the guidelines. We have a great presentation of some very important items from Sue. Remember the eligibility, the financial loss, and the future plans that you have in order to prepare festivals. So what I would like to show you is how you can provide that information into the application form. And obviously the main objective is that we want to keep something simple. We don't really want to make you create new information. That should be information you already have. So mostly we are asking you to submit that information. So I'm going to share my screen and we will go through that application. Perfect. So if we go to Create New South Wales website, inside New South Wales Festival Relaunch package, we are just scrolling down. You can access the form through two different links. You can click on Apply Now, and it will take you into Smart Grants, or you can click on this link that will directly take you to the application forms in Smart Grants. Clicking on that, we are able to see an introduction page, which is providing essential information in case there is any accessibility challenges and you will need some extra support from us. Please contact us. And before beginning, I would like to remind everyone that it's very important to read the guidelines to create a very competitive application and to simplify things for everyone, of course. However, if you have any question, feel free to contact us at Sector Support Mailbox. We are facilitators of the sector. We would like to help you. We would like to support you. So please contact us anytime. You can preview the form. You want to have a look at it. You can download it as a PDF form if you prefer that to check in offline, or you can directly click on Start a Submission, and it will directly take you to the login page of the system. You can register your new account. It's quite simple, just with a full name, email address, or you can use your existing login in case you have used this system before. I'm going to use my credentials. This submission number, this application number is quite important because that's the unique identifier of your application. If you have started an application and you have any question about the process, contact us at Sector Support and provide that application number as your contact details. Knowing what is your application number will simplify a lot if in case we have to check what could be the issue or the question that you have directly with your application. Going into the form, on the left frame, that's the navigation panel. We can see that there are 4 sections or 4 pages, just 4 pages where we are collecting essential information. The first one is some summary information about what are the key details or the eligibility things to be able to apply. Second question is information about the organization and the applicant that is applying in the name of the organization. Third page is the evidence of eligible organization. That's where we are asking you for that material that is described in the guidelines and that Sue was introducing before. That's that page, the third section, is what the panels are going to assess, and that's what they are going to review. Last page is declaration, when you are just providing the statutory declaration, signing it, and just submitting your application. So in this section, we are having an introduction, summary, something that, as I said before, everything is included in the guidelines. This is just to support you in case you have any question. Again, remember, contact and support. We are very happy to help you. And the eligibility conditions that you need to comply to be able to apply. Review all of them. In case you have any question and you are not eligible, contact us and check what could be the special circumstances that you could have. If you are eligible, you can click on yes and go to the next page. As soon as we have provided that eligibility condition, we are able to go to the other 3 pages and we can just navigate one to another, just clicking on it. We are not making the page number 2, 3, and 4 initially active because we want you to be sure that you are eligible before you start submitting information or working on the application, which could be time consuming. In this section, we are first checking some privacy notice. Obviously, our priority is support you and support organizations and support the sector, but we also know and have very present that confidentiality and data protection is important for all of you. So we are just want to provide you some information so you could acknowledge that we might share some information with other governmental agencies for the only purpose of this round of this festival funding. And that information that we are keeping from you is going to be managed confidentially. Following section is simple information about the organization. What is the legal name? What is the street address, postal address, contact details, and the ABN, which is mandatory to apply. We would also like to know what is your bank account details. So in case you are successful, it's going to expedite or it's going to help us to try to find you as quick as possible. Some information about the head of the organization and the applicant contact person, which is the person submitting this application. In the next page, we can see that information that initially was presented. We would like to know what were your previous festivals since the 1st of January to 2017. It has to be 3 or more. This is just a summary of them, so we can have a very quick list. And you are able to submit evidences of those festivals as links, uploading files, or both of the above. We know that sometimes you're storing material in YouTube, in other third-party storage services. So you can provide those links, just provide a brief description, we can access that, or directly just upload your files. And it's as simple as choosing what is the file and uploading it. It's quite simple. We would like to know what is the ticketing system that you are using and evidences of them. Have in mind the attendance, which should be 1,000 people, paid attendance per festival. The financial report, which is going to help us to understand and establish the previous 3 financial years to know the financial position you had, and also financial report to demonstrate your current financial position. Obviously, we're looking for balance sheets, profits and loss statements, information that you consider essential and important that it could prove that information. Please, if possible, upload that in Excel file as an Excel document if you have it. That is going to simplify things when managing data. We want to know your staff levels and the plans for future festivals, the capacity that you will have to organize another festival before the 30th of June 2023. And at the end, there is a section in where you can submit additional comments or information that you would like to provide, that could support your application, or that could simplify or explain better some of the information provided. Next page, which is the last one, it is just the statutory declaration that you can download, sign it, upload it, and at that point, if you click on next page, you will be able to submit this form. Remember, you can navigate through all these pages as much as you want. You can go back, you can change things. I strongly suggest you to click on Save Progress as soon as you are working on this application. We know, especially when working remotely with this pandemic situation, sometimes internet might not be reliable, so it's good to save just in case. You don't have to submit the application just in one go. You can save it and close it, continue next day, continue anytime. Just be mindful of the deadline to submit the application. When you are clicking on the next page to submit the form, when you think that it's complete, the system is not going to allow you to submit it if it has identified that there are some mandatory questions that has not been provided. For example, I can scroll down and check that I have not replied to this question, and I can directly click on here, and it's going to take me to the question that I have to reply. When everything is figured out, you will be able to submit it, and good luck with your application. Remember, we are here to support you. Contact us. Any questions you could have in sector support, we will be very happy to support you with that. And any feedback that you can provide about the form or even the guidelines or that information, please also send it in there. We know that the best way to support sector and support you in the future is knowing what is the feedback that we are having for what we are doing. So this is the application form. We will go now to the questions. Thank you so much, and I will pass on to Simon.
Thank you, Sam. Thanks so much for running us through that. I think for people who haven't used that application system before, it's very important. So For everyone in the webinar, this is the Q&A section. So if you have any questions, pop them in the chat. I'll do my best to run through all of the questions. If we become inundated or run out of time, we will still address them in our FAQs. And obviously, Samuel highlighted there is the sector.support email address you can email following this. So Sue, I'll address the questions to you. First one, we've got one from Tom, who runs a 4-day festival. He's a folk club, run a 4-day festival in January since 2005. He has a question on the loss eligibility criteria. He believes they would have had a huge loss if they went ahead in 2021. Do they still qualify under this package?
Thanks, Simon. Yeah, look, I definitely submit an application, Tom. Let us have a look at it. We will be focusing very much on your current financial position, and if there isn't a clear sign of loss from your base compared to now, then you probably won't be eligible, acknowledging that you've made business decisions to maintain your solvency. But definitely put in an application. Let us have a look at it, and we'll talk to you about it. But I think unless you've got those kind of hallmarks of financial deterioration, we probably won't be able to push you up into the approved eligible package. But let us have a look. Don't not put something in if you're not sure.
Thanks, Sue. And we've got one from Kerry here around the financial figures.
Yep.
Do you want the last 3 years, including 2020 COVID figures, or current position compared with the last 3 years of business as usual trading? It's a good question.
Yeah. So we're looking. What we're looking for is a number of things with that information. So number one, we're looking to see that you're an established organisation, and then we're trying to get a pre-COVID base. Some organisations will be operating on financial year, some will be working on calendar year. So if you're on a calendar year, then it's 2018, 19, 20. If you're on a financial year, it's 17, 18, 18, 19, 19, 20. So obviously the calendar year guys will, that 2020 financial results will be heavily COVID impacted. So we'll be looking more closely at the 2 years prior to that. But what we want to see is that 3 years of history of delivering a festival. So it's doing two things. It's establishing a base, and 2 years is sufficient for us to be able to establish that. But it's also showing the last 3 years worth of festivals that you've undertaken.
Thanks, Sue. And we've got just on years again here from Tracy. How many years of ticketing information do you need to provide? And if you have multiple ticketing platforms, do you have to supply all for all of the years?
Look, I'd be inclined to supply more information than less. We're establishing that you're an established festival of a certain scale. So what we need is to see the evidence to support that you've run a festival of that scale. So it really will be what information can you provide us that substantiates that. So we will be working very much in partnership with you guys. So once you've submitted a form, Samuel's team will be going through, and Michael Huxley and his team, which is and I've got a couple of teams that are looking after the grants management at the moment, will be looking at the information that you supply. And if there's not enough information there, we'll contact you and go back and get more information. So but just understand that what we're trying to do is substantiate the that you're eligible. So just try and put in as much as you can that you think will address that that criteria.
Thanks, Sue. Film festivals, should they apply for this funding pool or that dedicated $1 million festivals round?
Yeah, they're two different packages. So the $1 million that's been announced is to support festival activity. So the actual festival itself in Sydney, Western Sydney and Southwestern Sydney. So there's definitely, if you've got the capacity to deliver screenings in those areas as a film festival, that apply for that. You can also apply for this one, because this is about looking at the company and the financial position of the company. So they're quite different conceptually. We're supporting the company. The $1 million is supporting a festival.
And international film festivals, Sue, are they eligible?
That is a very good question. When you say international film festival, is the company itself based in? You'll need to be an Australian company or based, based in New South Wales. But if you're delivering, like if it's the French Film Festival or those kinds of things, but you're established in New South Wales, then yes, you can apply.
That was from Madeline. And Madeline, if you need more information, please contact us at sector.support@create.nsw.gov.au, and we can provide you with more info on that. One from Emma: How do we provide proof that we're planning a festival next year? Byron Rice's festival, for example, are currently looking at a new site, so don't have a venue agreement or DA for 2022.
Right. As I said, the likelihood of you delivering a festival in 2022 or 2023 ultimately will be a judgment call from the assessment panel. Obviously, Byron Writers Festival has a long relationship with Create New South Wales, and we understand them as a company very well. So I'm going to be on the panel, but you'll also have peak industry body representatives and people who actually understand both the commercial and not-for-profit sectors. So I think that we will be looking for DAs or contracts or budgets or plans. The more detailed those plans become, the more likely it is that you'll be judged as being able to deliver on it. But the fact that you've delivered 3 festivals in the past means that we will know who you are and we will know, what you deliver. So somebody on the panel will know exactly who you are. So it really provide as much evidence as you can. But if you've got specific circumstances like what was described, then we'll absolutely be taking that into consideration.
And Sue, what about there's an interesting question here. What about a festival that hasn't happened 3 times from 2017? For example, if they only happen once every 2 years?
Yeah, look, I think still apply, and then we will for biennale type festivals, we'll need to take that into consideration. Obviously, what we were trying to do, we originally started with 2 years worth of festivals, but we've expanded it to 3 to kind of hopefully bring in those biennial, I can't speak, type festivals as well. So still submit, and you'll have to be clearly badged and defined as one that delivers festivals every 2 years for us to continue to process it. But still put an application in.
Great, thanks, Sue. You'll notice that I chose not to try and pronounce biennial in my question.
You think
a good question here from Kristen. Should we still apply if we've received business grants, COVID-19 business grants and JobSaver payments from New South Wales Government?
It depends on the scale of what you would anticipate in getting from this package. The business grant, the $15,000 business grant, will be netted off against any payments. JobSaver will be separate. We've been able to separate payments with the performing arts package so you can apply for both. And I think, I think if you think that your payment will be less than 15,000 or about that, then it may not be worth applying. But I would suggest call first, email at sector.support@create.newsouthwales.gov.au. We'll throw the email address up at the end of the presentation. That's your channel. If you need us to respond to any particular issues, start by emailing. We do it that way rather than through phone calls, because we can man that inbox with multiple people. With working from home and everything, it's just a little bit difficult to have managing calls, but the email address, we're very tooled up to manage that. So put your question in there, and one of the team would give you a call and talk you through whether it's whether it's worth applying or not.
I've just dropped the email address in the chat there. One from Nasser. I think we've answered this, but I'll ask it for those who may have just joined us. So should we apply for a new festival that's due to start in 2022?
That hasn't operated before?
I'm taking that it's a new festival, yeah.
Yeah, no, because again, what we're doing is focusing on the company itself. So we're not funding festivals at this stage. I would say watch the space with the Event Saver package, because hopefully that will be the package to provide you confidence that if you do go ahead with your festival and it's cancelled or significantly disrupted because of a public health order, this package will be able to provide you, confidence that you'll be supported by the government in those situations.
Thanks, Sue. There's no more questions coming in. Thank you, Julia, for your kind words. If there's any more questions, we can probably squeeze in a couple more minutes. But as I said, this has been recorded. Following this, we will take all of your questions and compile a frequently asked questions section on our website, so you can review them there. And also, please use sector.support@create.nsw.gov.au if you have any additional questions following this. They may come to mind. Not a question. Okay, just an appreciation post. Thanks, Jessie. Really
Thanks, guys.
There's lots of hard work, and full credit goes to Sue. She's worked tirelessly to get this one off the ground. So if there's no more questions coming through, thanks everyone for joining us. We hope you found this useful. It is recorded. We'll put it on our YouTube page, and take a look at our website for the FAQs, the guidelines, and get your applications in. Thanks, everyone.